Hello and welcome to your NARSA Weekly Update for the week commencing Monday the 17th of August 2026. Brought to you by our partners at SEKO, your no-nonsense end-to-end logistics partner. Always very, very grateful for their support. Of course, it's Gary here again. Well, you know what? It feels a wee bit different today than it did this time last week, but it was a roller coaster again, wasn't it? We had some garbage served up to us on Thursday, which was just a wee bit more of the same, and then we had a very bright spot yesterday. Now, I don't think we're anything near the finished article. I don't think we're anything near out of the woods yet, but yesterday was the first time that you started to see a bit of a bond or feel a bit of a bond between the fans and the team. And it's also an opportunity for the new players to show their wares and give us, get away some of the hoodoos that were kind of over us. We've only scored one goal from open play. Well, yesterday we got five different goal scorers, a couple of debut goal scorers too. So it's certainly something that you can use that as a benchmark to say that's the new standard and we need to build from that standard and get even better going forward. And you could just feel the atmosphere, you could hear it as well from 4,000 miles away, of course, which is where I am, but got that opportunity to really just feel. I mean, obviously it wasn't a full house. The fans are kind of voting with their bums right now, and it was a separate competition to the league, so I'm assuming you don't get that as part of your season ticket anymore. But back in the day, you used to always get the first home game of each cup competition as part of your season ticket, but I think that's long gone now. But yeah, it was the worst of times and the best of times, I think you could maybe say. And as I mentioned now, one of the things I was talking about yesterday, and I think what I was talking about was Manny Fernandez specifically, and I think this could be used as a tactic for each of the players in the entire squad, is to sit down and say, watch this, and you tell me what you think you were doing at that particular time when they stop dead, when they go back, when they do these wee tippy-tappy passes back and forward across the back line and such like that. Like, what is it you think you're trying to do? You're trying to get your stats up? You're trying to keep possession? You're trying to draw the opposition out? Are you doing literally exactly what you were told? Who knows what that looks like? But when I was saying that about Manny Fernandez, what I was meaning was, if somebody would just sit him down and say, see all this lackadaisical stuff that you're doing right now, tell me exactly what's going through your head at that point. Now, I heard a thing on Heart and Hand, the daily update today, where David Edgar was saying specifically you could see when he was making a mistake yesterday, or almost making a mistake yesterday, there was a couple of players that were coming up and geeing him up a wee bit and giving him a wee bit of support and encouragement. So maybe it's a confidence issue where when his confidence is low, his whole energy flow is low too. But again, you could put that to the whole team and say, watch this whole thing. Watch it against the European team from last week and watch it against St Mirren, who are having a good start to the season, and tell me what the difference is. You figure it out on your own as to what you are and aren't doing and how that differs from the instructions you were or weren't given, and then we can build this together, So one of these weird weeks where obviously Thursday was a mess and yesterday was great from the very beginning of the game. So more positives than negatives. I think it would have been a hell of a deal to go out of the League Cup at such an early stage and be looking forward in inverted commas to a lesser European competition than the one that we're used to, and not having any cup football to look forward to. That would have been a very sticky situation for Derek McInnes and his squad. So thankfully we don't have to talk about that as we are moving forward together. You know what, folks? I think it's just that this is just part of the journey. I did a podcast on my own, on my business side. If you want to check it out, go to Gary Gillen Coaching on your favourite podcast platform and you'll be able to find it there, or on YouTube as well. And what it was talking about the ripple effect of your actions and how that cascades to other people in your network and such. And I kind of spoke briefly about the fact that our team isn't, there's a process that needs to be followed. And the team aren't following the process right now because they're just still developing it. They're trying to refuel the plane when it's in flight, or a better analogy is they're trying to change the tyre while the car is still driving. And this is just part of the process. It's part of the growing process. We've experienced a lot of change, almost a full team's worth of change, with some more still to come in the next couple of weeks here. And it would be great if everybody gelled exactly together straight away and everybody knew and understood and had an idea of exactly what was expected of them and were able to produce it so early in the season. That's just not been the journey. And I don't think that's going to continue to be the journey. I think there's going to be the odd bump and the odd, hopefully yesterday, as I said, was the standard. And then you get to a spot where in the future you're saying that was the worst we've been, in this last 2-month period or whatever it is. And we when we're dipping lower than the month of August the 16th, then, it's a benchmark. It's a foundational point. It's a point of reference or something like that. But I think what we had to endure was obviously what we had to endure. And if, it'd be great if that was the end of it and we were just scraping out or finding or grinding for results at some point in the future. I guess we'll see. And we have some important games coming up here over the next couple of weeks. So super quick on the game segment. Of course, the first game was the exit in the Europa League to Jagiellonia Białystok. Probably the best I've said it, and hopefully the last time I will ever say that again. And it was a 1-1 draw at Ibrox where we had taken the lead through a penalty from Lawrence Shankland and just never really looked. I mean, you know what? We started well enough, I thought, got the goal early, and you're starting to go, right, okay, kick on, build on that, move on from here. And the team just didn't have it in them at that particular time. And how different can that be from, 3 days from Thursday to Sunday? But that's just the joys of being a sports fan. And I think we're now in a situation where I didn't feel that bad after the game, quite honestly, folks. And I'll tell you why. I thought they were good for the victory. I thought they were better than us over in Poland the week before. And I mentioned last week that the fact that it was only 2-1, bringing the 2-1 defeat back is a bit of a blessing. And hopefully that's something we can build on. We couldn't, so we went out on, 3-2 on aggregate to drop down from the Europa League to the Conference League. And by the way, we're not even in the Conference League yet. We're in the playoff round for the Conference League now. And that yesterday, before the game yesterday, I was kind of like, maybe we just dump Europe for right now. And I'm sure if I said that with Jim Gillespie and Fraser Thornton and Andrew Kavanagh being there, that they would be like, whoa, shut your face. That's not what we're looking for. We need the revenue. We need the exposure. We need the games and such. Maybe that's true. But the Conference League, there's a lot of teams that we just hadn't heard of the Polish team either until we played them and we got put out. And I thought we got away with it a wee bit in Poland. We gave up numerous chances to them, and as it turns out, they ended up taking the chances. They hit the post. We never really recovered from that, and they had another chance. We were kind of chasing ghosts again a wee bit, and we did get a VAR decision for the handball, and I still struggle to see, even on the replay, but they were quite clear about the fact that it was a goal, and we just still gave up chances. We were just way too easy to play through, and we weren't stopping things high enough in the field, and we were putting our defence under pressure. Our defence is still morphing right now, and to hopefully get to a spot where they're not giving us heart attacks, and that wasn't really the case there in the second half. We just didn't show up at all, did we? We were chasing ghosts, man. It was just an awful situation. The goal we lost ran about, 65-ish minutes or so. It just comes from our right-hand side, their left-hand side. The guy swings a ball in. We don't get out to close him down nearly fast enough, and I guess that's on Dujon Sterling. And it goes to the back post where there's 3 Rangers players there. He out-jumps all 3 of them, puts the ball in the back of the net. And it's just a bizarre situation that can happen. Yeah, great cross, fair play to the guy, good finish for their guy, but that shouldn't be happening just in pure terms of absolute volume of numbers that we have and around that. And we pressed after that. We created a couple of chances, and we just, who was that? We had Miovski had a chance, and Dragojevic had a chance at the end. None of the two of them on target. And if both of them had been on target, I'm fairly sure they would have went in, certainly the Miovski chance. But I think that's telling, when we have these guilty as chances that have given us an opportunity to take the game into extra time and we don't even hit the target. It's just the way things have been for us, and that's just the way that it is. In terms of the positives, 0 positives come from this game, none whatsoever. I don't think anybody comes out with a massive amount of credit. And, well, I tell you what, I always find something positive Lawrence Shankland getting another goal. I don't think it's unfair to say that he's had a very, very rough start to his tenure as Rangers captain, as Rangers player. And I was really, really hoping that he was going to come on yesterday and put the ball in the back of the net and just give him a wee bit of a boost and then hopefully start to build some numbers for him. But it wasn't happening. But, you know, we didn't get beat. Is that a decent, you know, plus for us? Maybe. In terms of the negatives, another stink bomb of a second half, giving up chances, being way too easy to play through, and the chance creation at the other side was just not good enough for a team that they were well worthy of the victory. I'm not saying they weren't, but I assumed that Rangers would have more to be able to actually get through the tie, and we didn't. And that's disappointing, a wee bit embarrassing, quite frankly. In terms of possession, it says we had 57% possession. I had to go to live score for the possession stats on this because the Rangers website just wasn't updated. So I guess they were just kind of taking some time out. Just didn't want to bother putting the information in. But it says we had 57% possession, 10 shots on goal with 3 being on target. Scored one of them. I guess the penalty would include one of them. Versus they had 7 shots on goal with 4 on target and scored one of them. So I guess our return for the shots on target was a wee bit better, marginally better, 33%. Still not good enough to get through. In terms of the ref watch, I thought the ref actually had a very, very good game. You know, it's just such a breath of fresh air when you see these progressive referees not being fooled or anything. Any VAR checks were pretty quick, unlike yesterday, man oh man. And the only thing I would criticise the referee for, which is going to impact his overall score for the week, is I thought we had more of a shout on a last man tackle on Ryan Nadiri, albeit on the left-hand side. I thought we might have warranted, you know, him bearing down on goal and getting a shot on target. That might have warranted a wee bit more of a VAR check. And no, the referee wasn't wearing it at the time and didn't seem to. I don't even know if there was a VAR check on that, or maybe it just happened silently in the background and they were just giving him the signals through the audio or not. But I thought that was the only thing. I thought that was a good shout for something that might have swayed the game in our favour. Who knows? I mean, we haven't actually been that great against 10 players anyway. When you look at the result against what was that, Hibs a couple of weeks back there, so it might not have made a material difference, but it's a numbers game, and if we had one more player, there might have been something. So he's going to get 6 out of 10 for that. I think that was a wee bit of a faux pas by them. Second game, bit more like it, 5-1 victory against St Mirren from the most beautiful town in Europe there, and it was just everything that we've been craving, I think, as a fan base. And the first time I wore my new Rangers home shirt, thank you very much to my good friend Davey McDonald for getting his mum to bring it over. Thank you, Mags, for taking the time to bring it over. And yeah, it's the game feels easy when we play it like that, high tempo, getting the ball forward. The players been really up for it. The fans responding to the players, then the players circularly responding to the fans and putting in a really, really good show. And you could just tell the players were just enjoying it. Weren't they? We were enjoying it. I mean, it was such a brilliant atmosphere down at the club yesterday. And I don't know that the game, I mean, Simon were still making us work hard, and they had an opportunity. They got it back to 2-1 at one point, and I was just supremely confident. For some reason, I really was. I just thought there's no way we're not winning this game. I don't think we're going to get ourselves into a fuddle here. I think we've already seen and known and experienced enough about what's going to work to win this game, to score goals, to create chances that would give us goal scoring opportunities, that there was just that confidence permeated through the entire team. I thought, you know, and was it a 5-1 game? Obviously it was. That was a final score. It should have been more, but we were made to work for everything, if that makes sense. It wasn't a complete capitulation, I didn't think, by St Mirren. And as I mentioned earlier, 5 individual goal scorers, all 5 goals come from open play as well. So that takes that little nuance, that little stat away, and we don't need to talk about that so much anymore. Maybe we talk about it in terms of the league play, but you know, from a Rangers squad perspective, I think we did well. We got goals from Nadiri, an absolute beauty from Dragojevic, Gassama, who I thought was brilliant. I mean, that was back to the Gassama we signed last season, wasn't it? Just playing full of confidence. A debut goal by James Penrice, who I thought was fantastic yesterday, and finished off with Ross McCausland. Remember him? You know, I thought he played well when he came on. You know, it takes all sorts to make up a team. It takes all sorts to make up a squad, and the guys who are there that can come on and make a difference for us are worth their weight in gold. We should maybe not be in such a hurry to get Ross out the door, if indeed the club are in a hurry to get him out the door, if he's going to be able to come on and create influence and influence the scoreline, which is what he did yesterday. And I thought it was from start to finish, wasn't it? It wasn't all perfect for the full 90 minutes, but at half time we were talking at the club of saying, is this going to be one of these first half performances again? We're going to come out and be a wee bit sluggish and slow in the second half. And it was as close to a 90-minute performance as we've had thus far under Derek McInnes. And, we weren't absolutely lightning out of the blocks, but we weren't that sluggish garbage that they've served up for the previous handful of games. So it was good that we kept a high tempo. We worked very, very hard through the entire game. We played to our strengths. And then it's kind of interesting when you heard the interview with Derek McInnes after it. He said it's the first game I haven't played with two strikers up front, and it's the most potent we've been in attack. It wasn't exactly what he said, but that's kind of what he meant. He's learning more about the players and about what's going to work and what's not going to work at the same time as the players are. And it's not an exact science, and it's not a one-size-fits-all as to exactly what's going to work week after week. So hopefully he saw enough from a positive perspective to say, right, okay, maybe I don't need to be as rigid, because this 4-3-3 worked exceptionally well. And as I mentioned earlier, it could and should have been more in terms of what we're doing for goals to score. My hope and my desire was that Shankland was going to get an opportunity to score. I think he hit the post again, though, didn't he? I mean, he's just a post or a crossbar machine these days at Lawrence. Stick with it, keep going. You will get what you deserve at the end of the day, and this will hopefully be a bit of a distant memory once you start to battle them in. And maybe he's at a spot now where he's trying too hard. Who knows? But he's not had a great start to his Rangers season very, very early. So just stick with it. Keep doing what you're doing. The principles and those ones that are hitting the post will eventually go in, and we'll have more. We'll have more flattering or more enjoyable scorelines in the future than we will have dodgy ones. That's the hope, anyway. In terms of the positives, 5 goals from open play, 5 different goal scorers, great debut by Penrice, great connection with the fans, like I mentioned. It was just more like it, and we've now. One of the positives, I kind of joked about it, saying who would we get in the next round. I says, get that mob over here on our turf, and as it turns out, that's what happened for the draw. So we get to play them twice in a week and put a dent in their season, boost our season. That's the way we should be looking at it, not oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So we'll see. So we've got a league and a cup game in 2 quick successions there. That's going to be the weekend of the 12th or 13th of September. So basically about 3 weeks from now-ish. So, yeah, it's going to be exciting. And in terms of negatives, after the start we've had to the season, I think it would be very, very unwise to criticise anything. Obviously, losing a goal, taking it to 2-1 could have been a catalyst for some negativity and some negative play, but it wasn't. So I'll take a 5-1. I'll take the 4 extra goals. I'll take the victory and the opportunity to advance in the cup and give ourselves a realistic chance of getting through to the quarterfinals. Or we'll see what that looks like. Or maybe it is the quarterfinals now. I can't remember exactly how many games we have to play in this competition. In terms of the possession, the stats were on the Rangers site, and I was a wee bit surprised by the possession. It said we had 51% possession yesterday, which I felt low. Someone had some of the ball, but not a lot. I didn't feel like they had almost 50% of it. But maybe I'm watching things through my blue-tinted glasses. Of course, in terms of the stats, we had the shot stats. We had 20 shots on target with on goal, with 11 being on target, and we scored 5 of them. Almost 50% conversion after having 30% conversion. It's trending in the right direction, isn't it? That said, we gave up some chances. They had 8 shots on goal with 3 on target and scored 1 of them, so theirs would be about 30% or so. In terms of the ref watch, I thought that the biggest annoyance for me yesterday was not so much John Beaton and his usual John Beaton. He wasn't really that annoying. It was the VAR team with these in perpetuity checks for every single goal, basically trying to look on how they could rule something out for every goal. And some of them looked kind of marginal in terms of offside or onside. We had a couple of debates in the club while they were doing it. But every single one, when you look at what happened at Tannadice the day before, this blatant handball that by the rules of the game doesn't influence the play, despite it going to the other guy to put it in. And for us, they are just desperate to make sure they don't, at the very least, it feels like that they're not going to make a mistake. on a judgment that would then blow back to them from that mob from the East End. It's so palpable. It's so annoying. I was surprised that we got all 5 of them. Actually, I was, and pleasantly surprised. I mean, I'm looking at it saying this is obviously a goal, but is there just that wee margin of error, or have they created a wee bit of an opportunity to be able to rule it off? And the answer was no from yesterday. So it's just a different tier of refereeing standards that we're on right now, and we're going to have to work and earn every single goal we get, which is going to hopefully contribute to a lot more victories than we've had thus far. But this at least 2-tiered standard of refereeing is so palpable in this country, and this country being Scotland, of course, not this country because this is Canada that I'm in. But yeah, they didn't materially affect the outcome. It was just a bit annoying in and of the moment. They're going to get 3 out of 10 for this. So if anybody's paying attention, that's a 3 out of 10 for domestic football, a 1 out of 10 last week, and a 3 out of 10 for this week. Just stinking refereeing there. Our next game that we've just got the one game this week. You'll remember that we were supposed to play St Mirren again in the league, and we had asked for that one to be postponed to help with our European preparations. We are still in Europe, which is a good thing, and we are playing FK Jablonec in the Conference League playoff round. The first game is at Ibrox, second game a week later is going to be in their country, wherever their country is, and I'll be completely ignorant. I didn't even do my research to find out where they're from, which is a wee bit off, but it's good that we have that break in between. Hopefully we get a good result at Ibrox on Thursday. That's a 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff, 7:45 p.m. in the UK. I've said before, and even if we get to the final, I might be a wee bit different. I think the final's in Istanbul, I believe. One of the guys had said on one of the group messages. But if we got towards the latter stages, I'll get a wee bit more excited about it. But I'm just kind of warning you in advance. I don't have the warm and fuzzies about bringing a lot of energy for these games, and I'm the exact same. I don't even look at the results of the conference. I look at the results of the Champions League and the Europa League. We're in neither of those. We didn't make the grade this year. So maybe I'll fall in love with it the more we get there. Especially if we get a good group, it'd be nice to get a good group with some plum ties in there, and we'll see how it goes. And I know that's a wee bit snobbish because the English take this very, very seriously, and they're a much better league than we are in Scotland. But European competition to anyone in England is a big deal. It's just not the competition that we want to be in, is it? But that's what we deserve. So we're just going to have to take it, and then we get a wee breather on the weekend. In terms of shout-outs for this week, start off with a personal one here, and that's just a thank you to Diane and Dan Thorpe, who had came over. They are the sister and nephew of my brother-in-law, Andy Carey, and my sister, of course, and it was great to see them, and they were very kind. They brought over a bunch of crisps and chocolate and such, and we had actually on the last night, we ended up having a heavy night, on a school night, no less, where we went and watched the game in the afternoon. I went back to work, and then we met for dinner, and then went back to the Carey's house, and we overdid it, way overdid it, and it was made for Friday being a bit of a long day. I don't mind admitting, but great to see the folks. We played Scabby Queen. If you've played that card game, so much fun, and everybody had a chance of getting the Scabby at the end. So that was a lot of fun. But great to see you folks. Thanks again for coming over. Thanks for being so kind, and hopefully it won't be too long before we see you again. Another one from the Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary here is that Neil MacArthur, long-standing member, finally married Claire, his love of decades and decades and decades. I didn't even know they weren't married. Debbie says, did you hear that Neil and Claire got married? And I'm like, I thought they were already married. And she sends me the face palm emoji. But they got married this past summer in their hometown of Tyree. So they built a lovely property there and spend a lot of the summers there. And they got married, and it was a great time. Neil, you might remember, had his 60th birthday a wee bit earlier in the year, and we had a lovely party at their place to celebrate that. A lot of fun, and you now have Neil and Claire MacArthur. So to celebrate, talk about romance. I'll tell you this, folks, guys, I hope you're listening closely to this. What he got her for a wedding gift was a membership for the season 26-27 to the Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary. Now, who says romance is dead? What a lucky lassie. She has been added to our distribution list, and she is most welcome at any of our games and events too. A wee bit of a marriage one here, to stick on the marriage theme. I did hear from former NARSA Treasurer Alec Grant, who was flying where was he flying from? I think he was going from London over to Seattle, and just, I must have jogged his memory when he seen the kind of flight path was going over the Calgary area, and he was over in London seeing his boy Ian get married to his love Mary, and they met in London, but she's American, she's from New Jersey, and they got married at Borich. Is it Borich Castle in Loch Lomond on the 7th of August? They shared some of the photographs. It looks absolutely stunning there, absolutely incredible, and the groom and the wife were looking absolutely sensational as well. So congratulations to Ian, congratulations to Mary, congratulations, of course, to the entire Grant family. That was some great news there. Just another reminder that ERSA is happening, what's that, just over a month, 5 weeks away in Lanzarote from September the 24th to 27th. If you go to their website, I think the website's actually ersa2019.com or .co.uk, something like that. But the website's beautiful. I love what they've done with the website, and it looks like they're going to have a great time when they're over there doing a lot of the standard things that we do at our conventions too. And for the last time, most of you will be pleased to hear, I am going to promote the Rangers Ladies Lunch one last time. It's coming up this Friday, the 21st. The tickets are £75. I did check the Edmiston House website last week to see if it was sold out. It's not sold out, but they said it was very limited seating left, or limited availability left, or something like that, like a wee warning sign on the actual thumbnail for the event. So if you're at a bit of a loose end and you're interested in going along this Friday, you will get spoiled, and it will be a great time, I am absolutely sure. And maybe if someone attends it and you want to let me know how it went, I'll be more than happy to mention it next week, or we'll just move on and we won't mention it again until next week. On a convention update, very similar to last time, our president, Alan, was back home this last, well, he did something in Portugal and then he headed back home. He was at the game again on Thursday. We didn't win the game again on Thursday. I told him before he was a jinx, and as it turns out, he's proven to be so once again. So thanks for that. Thanks for nothing, Alan. But we are in a situation here where he, hopefully now that he's back, we'll get an opportunity to chat as an executive. Certainly he'll be getting to chat with Brian Campbell, our convention director, and start to sort out what the destinations look like. I know there's going to be a matrix completed that says these are the various places that we want to go. For the record, lads, we had our annual general meeting yesterday at the Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary. I have been voted in as president again. My compadre Alec Liddell is the VP. Debbie is staying on as secretary. We have Jimmy Hutchins is staying on as a director. Hammy has bowed out as a director and is taking a wee bit of a breather, and we swapped out Lorelei Liddell as our treasurer for Colin Andrews, and our social media gonk, our long-standing social media gonk, Andy Carey, has passed over the reins to his son, my nephew, Callum Carey. He's going to do our social media from next week onwards, once he gets all the templates and such from Andy. They're going to do some transition work over the next week. So congratulations and thank you to everyone for all of your help and support, especially the departing folks, Lorelei, Hammy and Andy, for doing brilliant work for our club. But the reason I mentioned that, I should probably have done that in the shout outs, was that the overwhelming location that they want to go to is Las Vegas. That's all I get from all of my compadres here in Calgary, is they want to go to Vegas. So if that in any way influences your decision whatsoever, that your Calgary brothers and sisters and the boys and girls over here want to go to Las Vegas, myself included, I'm quite biased to that. It's been 5 years since we've done Vegas, so we have options, we have opportunities, which is great. And as I mentioned before, we need to get on that and do what we can for that. I believe we actually have a NARSA executive meeting this week as well. I need to double check my calendar. I'm fairly sure it's this week. And we'll have an opportunity to learn what Alan learned on his trip and get an update on what that looks like. In terms of communication for this week, once again, no Gers guide. Now, that's not related to a bad result on the weekend, which I've kind of lamented over the last couple of podcasts here. I don't know what they're doing. So I'm going to give you the Gas guide, which is there will be a press conference likely on Wednesday for the game on Thursday against Jablonec. I can't remember the exact name of the team now. And then there won't be much activity, I assume, after that. There'll just be preparations happening up to and including over the weekend. Maybe they get a couple of days off just to kind of convalesce a wee bit, or more training time on the pitch would be kind of handy. And we do have the women's team. They successfully navigated the first game away to Montrose yesterday with a 4-1 victory there. So that's a good start for the women's team. These are all the games that the women's team need to be winning. And then as they get to Hearts, Hibs, that mob in Glasgow City, it seems to become much of a muchness, and it depends on the stage of the season as to what's going to happen. So hopefully we are in better shape this season to actually win it outright, rather than going to the last day of the season and being let down. And the women's team are at home to Spartans on Sunday at 4 p.m. kick-off there. And yeah, other than that, the only other thing you've probably seen on the Rangers website or heard through social media is that the Tennent Sixes. That's a blast from the past for people of my vintage. The Tennent Sixes are making a return after, what was that, like the 80s and the 90s, something like that, the early 90s, certainly the 80s, where they did the Tennent Sixes. And the good thing is every single team in the Scottish Premiership are participating with the support of all of the SPFL teams. It's going to be great. It's going to be held at the Braehead Centre, and that's going to be early October as well. So I don't know where we're at in terms of our fixtures for that. I mean, September's going to be a massive month with 2 Old Firm games and hopefully more European games mixed in there as well. So that might be a wee bit of welcome relief of a given, I'm assuming it's a weekend, to see some of the legends up there doing their thing and hopefully bringing home the Tennent Sixes title there. That would be kind of handy. One thing I did promise last week was to read the fan advisory board minutes and give you a bit of a synopsis. I ran out of time to do that. I'll try and endeavour to do that this week for next week and see where we go from there. Just a reminder, as always, to follow us on TikTok, follow us on all of our socials, and that's NARSA Comms on TikTok and Instagram, and of course on YouTube. That is NARSA NARSA Communication, and please like and subscribe. I'm legally obliged to tell you to do that, and please do that, and please, as always, do share this episode with someone that you think might enjoy it. That will do me for this week, folks. And as much as I've poo-pooed the Conference League, I will be there. Literally, I will be remote watching the game and hoping and praying that we continue our good form from Sunday into Thursday. That gives us a really good foundation to take into next week's return leg and gives us the chance for Conference League football this season. So thank you very much, as always, to SEKO, our partners, for giving us the support and the belief in what it is we're doing here at NARSA. Thanks to you for listening or watching. And until next week, here's hoping your team wins. And please do take care of yourself and all the very, very best. Okay, follow.